Yo, good morning, you guys. Your boy Bill Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Hope y'all been having a good week thus far, man. And also tonight, tune in to the Smoke City Podcast at 8 o'clock Central Time, where we discuss all the boxing news and topics around the world, man. And you get to see me and hear my boxing commentary too, as well with the rest of my brothers out there on the podcast too, as well. So don't miss out on that. So let's get down to business here, shall we? So, well, I tell you, Patrick Beverley never ceases to amaze me sometimes when he comes on any platform and opens his mouth. And what he said on ESPN, particularly when he talked about on Chris Paul, saying that Chris Paul can't guard nobody and this and that, pretty much reassures what I've always felt about Patrick Beverley. It's basically that the dude is nothing more than a front running troll that doesn't mind being ahead in anything. But when he falls behind, in anything in life. He just doesn't know how to handle it. And it's pretty much the hallmark of that throughout his entire career. Listen, everybody in the NBA knows that this dude is basically talks a lot of stuff, but can't really back it up most of the time. I mean, just ask Russell Westbrook, ask Steph Curry, ask Damian Lillard, John Morant. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, this guy gets roasted on by all the top guards in the NBA, and even the mid tier guards as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the guy never worked hard to get himself into the NBA because listen, the man worked his butt off to get to the NBA. If you actually look back at his time out in Europe and basically going through what he went through in college as well, you know, going through, insufficient grades that pretty much could have had him suspended, but instead of serving out a academic suspension, he pretty much hired an agent and decided to go to the Europe tour and his route into the NBA. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the guy has not worked himself to get into the NBA because he has, and there's no doubt about it. And he's pretty much very well accomplished in the European scene, and pretty much as a basketball player in the NBA as well. We know him as a decent defender, and he's been voted to all defense first team and second team. But let's get something straight here. You would have never heard of Patrick Beverley's name if he didn't smash on Russell Westbrook's knee. All right, y'all remember that when Patrick Beverley was with the Houston Rockets. Y'all remember this. All right, during the playoffs. All right, particularly in round 2013. All right, he pretty much ran into Russell Westbrook's knee and pretty much shattered it. All right, ever since that day, that's where the name of Patrick Beverley came from, and been pretty much synonymous ever since. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the guy is a total, completely dirty player by any stretch, because there are some good things about his game that I do like. I do like the fact that he's, a very tough-minded defender, and he brings all the hustle and all the grit that it's very helpful for a lot of teams. But let's get something straight here, all right? The man talks too much trash, all right, for his own good and for his lack of offensive skill set. All right, let's get that straightened out for number one. Number two, he always barks up at the wrong tree at the very wrong time. And no, and more importantly, too, didn't the last time I remembered about Patrick Beverley when he was with the Clippers, didn't he got just roasted on by Chris Paul in that game 6 when the Phoenix Suns closed out the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals a year ago? I think that's the one thing that I'll pretty much people remember him for about that too as well. And people remember him a lot by a lot of dirty cheap shots and all that other good stuff. Like, dude, Patrick Beverley is a type of person that loves to hear himself talk. And when it comes down to basketball, actual physical basketball, the man gets roasted on a lot of the time. I mean, this is what it is. And when you got a lot of players around the NBA, like the Damian Lillards of the world and others, that pretty much is speaking in the defense of Chris Paul in terms of the stuff that he was saying, like, dude, you shouldn't be going out there saying that stuff. And even when you got Matt Barnes, who's pretty much cold-blooded as ice as it could get in terms of his assessment, in terms of how he sees things, you've done something. And I know Chris Paul hasn't yet to respond to this yet, but I think at this point, I think Chris Paul doesn't even care about it at all. And I've already did a video about my criticism of Chris Paul as well. That's pretty much separate to this video I did last night. So go ahead and check it out for yourself. But the thing is, though, bro, like Patrick Beverley just needs to shut up, bro. Just stop talking, stop barking up, you know, start sparking up the wrong tree here. Start spreading, sparking fires against the opposition because they're gonna remember those words when it comes down to the actual basketball being played, and they're gonna make sure to drop 50 piece on your head and make sure to remember, make sure to let you know, don't ever talk that kind of crap ever again. And so pretty much, man, Patrick Beverley needs to leave that stuff alone, bro. And I think a lot of it still stems from the fact of how he got destroyed in last year's playoffs when he was with the Clippers, too. And another thing, too, wasn't he also responsible for the Timberwolves mishaps in the playoffs against the Memphis Grizzlies as well? I know he wasn't the majority of the blame, but he's the starting guard, right? He has to also accept some accountability of how things turned out against the Memphis Grizzlies, especially of how John Morant kept roasting everybody. Like, please, like Patrick Beverley, you shouldn't be the guy running saying anything about a guy that is going to be in the Hall of Fame in the name of Chris Paul, a guy that is pretty much top 10 in career assists. All right. A guy that even on his worst year is still among one of the best point guards of all time than any moment of your entire career. So, really, Patrick Beverley made no sense whatsoever of coming out on ESPN and saying all of that gibberish and all that nonsense at all. All of that pretty much confirms of what people have known about him from the beginning, that he's nothing more than just a troll, and more importantly, he's just a front runner who just loves to stir up things, and he doesn't know how to come through adversity most times. And if you can pretty much beat him down and pretty much put him to the ground, he can't get up, and most times he'll punk out. And that's pretty much is who he is at this point. I'm just disappointed that I had to deal with this dude in the Target Center. Like, I can't stand that dude. I don't hate him, but I just can't stand him because his attitude, bro, like, it just doesn't work well with me. It just doesn't. So that's just my, assessment and my criticism of the man. I think he just could have been better off by just not saying anything and just let his play, whatever it is, do the talking on the floor instead of going on ESPN and making yourself look like a fool in front of millions of people that were watching First Take. Pretty much, you now put more of a target on your back. And now a lot of these players are going to be looking for you and they're going to look to try to embarrass you at your expense. So I don't know, man. He didn't look good in saying those comments about Chris Paul, and more importantly, he should have just kept his mouth shut. So that's just me. I know there's gonna be people that might side with Patrick Beverley on this. I like to ask you, what do you guys think? Do you think Patrick Beverley is a front runner or not, or do you think the words that he said on First Take was accurate? But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And with that, I'm out. Peace.